You need to hear this because the truth about food in America is being kept from you. For millions, food is no longer affordable. Not for those working hard, not for the middle class, and certainly not for anyone barely making it paycheck to paycheck. This isn't just about prices going up a little, it's a crisis pushing people to the brink. In 2023, more than 18 million households across the U.S. struggled to put enough food on the table. Think about that for a moment. 18 million families unsure where their next meal would come from. And out of those, a shocking 6.8 million had to skip meals entirely because they simply didn't have the money. These aren't just numbers. These are real people, real families facing true hunger. Grocery prices are still climbing, showing no signs of stopping. The cost of basic bread has gone up by over 4%. Eggs, a staple for so many, jumped another 7%. And beef, it's at a record high. Why? Because the national cattle supply is the smallest it's been since 1951. Less supply means higher prices for you. Meanwhile, wages have barely moved. They certainly haven't kept up with the rising cost of everything else. To make matters worse, programs like SNAP, which are supposed to be a lifeline, are being cut or proving insufficient. People are being forced to make impossible choices every day. Do you pay the rent, fill up your gas tank to get to work, or buy groceries to feed your family? Millions are quietly slipping into a desperate fight for survival. If you've noticed that a stick of deodorant now costs $12, or that toothpaste runs you $8, or that your grocery bill for a handful of basic items somehow hits triple digits, you're not imagining things. You're not crazy. You are being squeezed hard. And trust me, the reality is far worse than most people even realize. Americans are already struggling to feed themselves, and the warning signs are flashing red. The gap between what people earn and what they need to spend has become a canyon. National reports show the extra money needed by food-insecure people now totals tens of billions of dollars. So when someone tells you they can't afford bread and eggs anymore, they're not exaggerating. This is their harsh reality. Food prices at home are up nearly 3% from a year ago. And if you eat out, those prices are up almost 4% in the same time. Sure, overall inflation might seem lower, but when you're shopping for the absolute essentials, it hits you directly in the wallet. We're talking about households already stretched thin, where deciding between rent, utilities, gas, and feeding their kids isn't a theory. It's the daily, crushing math they face. That's why you hear the resentment, the quiet talk of desperation. People are on the edge, feeling forced to consider stealing or trying to find ways to make do because legal and honorable options aren't enough to feed them. Let's dig into something most people don't talk about enough: the economy's changing structure. While some jobs have seen wage growth, it hasn't kept up with the soaring cost of everything. On top of that, sudden price spikes in specific food areas, like livestock feed, imported goods, and fuel, drive up the grocery bill, no matter what your paycheck says. The small cattle herd, for example, means beef prices are through the roof. This isn't just about general expense, it's specific items becoming dramatically more expensive, wiping out any room for error in a tight budget. And this isn't just a problem in a few areas. Every single county in the U.S. has residents facing hunger. So even if you live in what used to feel like a safe, well-off area, the ripple effects are real. Add to that the rising costs of utilities, rent, and insurance. It's not just groceries that are more expensive. Everything is. And groceries aren't optional. In this intense squeeze, people often turn to less healthy, cheaper calories just to fill stomachs. This then leads to more health problems, medical bills, missed work, and stress, which only makes it even harder to afford food in the long run. It's a vicious cycle. Here's a painful truth many people miss. Food insecurity isn't just occasionally skipping a meal. The government defines very low food security as when eating patterns are disrupted and food intake is actually reduced because there isn't enough money. That's serious. In 2023, about 6.8 million households faced this extreme level of insecurity. So when someone says they can't afford deodorant or they're rationing toothpaste to 2 swipes a day, it's not an exaggeration. It's the same mindset creeping into food choices. Eating 2 slices of bread instead of 3, having the same meal repeatedly, skipping fresh produce for cheaper fillers. There's a hidden cost to this. The longer you're in this mode, the worse your health gets, the harder it is to work, and the fewer resources you have to climb out. The cycle just deepens. Calculations show that people facing food insecurity often need significantly more money just to cover their basic meals. It's not just about big numbers. It's the daily struggle of making one less trip to the store, buying the cheapest brand, skipping the healthier options, and after months of that, feeling completely run down and behind. When you hear people say, "Everything is just too expensive for me," every single thing, they aren't complaining. They are describing a cumulative effect. The cost of living has changed drastically, but the support systems for many haven't kept pace. That's why this desperation is growing, unseen by many, but deeply felt by millions. Finally, consider the human cost, the mental and emotional toll. What happens after months or years of being squeezed, feeling like you're about to lose your grip? It shows up as skipping meals, buying the cheapest brands, choosing ultra-processed foods, avoiding fresh vegetables, and accepting that just enough is the new normal. These are the people who talk about having to steal or make their own because the system has cornered them into choices no one should have to make. This shift undermines health, productivity, future earnings, and creates stress that piles up, leading to more illness, missed work, and higher bills. Assistance programs exist, but struggles with eligibility, the shame of needing help, and slow administrative processes mean many fall through the cracks. So the conversations you're hearing from friends, neighbors, and coworkers aren't exaggerations. They are the sound of an economy where the foundation is crumbling for millions. Americans can't afford food the way they used to, and yes, they are getting desperate. The worst part? Many don't realize how bad it is until they're already trapped. Here's the plain truth. This isn't just inflation. This is a full-blown affordability crisis hitting every aisle, every wallet, and every dinner table across America. The system is broken. Food is no longer a given, it's a daily gamble. While some pretend things are getting better, the people living this nightmare know the truth. You are not imagining it. You are not overreacting. You are surviving in a country where basic survival costs more than many can afford. So whether you're stretching toothpaste, skipping meals, or thinking twice before buying basic groceries, you are not alone. Millions are right there with you. If we don't start talking about this loudly, urgently, and together, things won't just stay bad. They will get much, much worse. Stay awake. Stay sharp. And if you feel this pressure, speak up, because silence won't feed anyone.